Hi there, welcome to another episode of PILOTCLIMB.com. In today's video we are actually flying from Geneva in Switzerland all the way down to Palma, Mallorca, okay? I'm live in the chat, so anytime you have any question throughout the flight, just ask me in the chat, okay? And I'll be more than happy to answer you. I just performed the takeoff, okay? And then we are in our initial climb bound Palma de Mallorca, okay? We are approaching flight level 150. And the first thing that we're gonna do today, we're gonna climb to our flight level. We want to climb to a cruise level of 330. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set up 330 on the altitude window in there. Here we go, 330, and then we climb to 330. So we've got 330 set, and we check that we've got 330 in the FMC as well in there, okay? 330 on the altitude, on the MCP, and then we've got 330 on the overhead panel. Alright, and we keep climbing. We crossed already our transition altitude, and we are flying on the standard altimeter setting, okay? So we are flying flight levels at the moment. So we are flight level 156. In today's flight we've got a virtual ATC as well, so later on they're gonna ask to contact us, and inbound Palma, Mallorca, we are going to perform a Vor approach on 06 left, okay? Beautiful. So let me actually do this. Let me see if it works like this. So this is Geneva and the departure that we did earlier, okay? So let me take the chart from Lima Echo Papa Alpha. So let me close all these charts in here, okay? We don't need this really. Okay, that's the one that we need. So always during climb, guys, especially at night time, okay, you should always have the weather radar on, because at night time you don't see if you've got CB in front of you, okay? So make sure you've got the weather radar on at all the times at night time, okay? It's very important, because daytime is easy to spot a CB, but at night time it is not, because it's night, okay? Unless the CB has got some thunderstorms inside, you see the lightning. In that case it's easy to spot it, but sometimes it is not. So what you want to do, you want always have at least one pilot to have the weather radar on, okay? And guys, again, if you have any question, I'm in the live chat, ask me the question, we discuss that, okay? So I was saying, we arrive into Palma de Mallorca. We are going to perform a Vor approach. Let me see if I found the runway. Should be 06 right, if I'm not mistaken. VOR 07 right, sorry, 06 right. That's our procedure, should be, I guess. Okay, so we should Mike, Juliet, Victor, and then follow this one. We'll see. In a second, we're gonna do a briefing, okay? Because our flight plan, so our flight plan is gonna make us to fly from fly the Lunic 3 Mike, Juliet, Victor, VOR 06 left. Okay, 06 left, good, makes sense. Guys, I'm a bit slow because I just have the virus that we all know, okay? I'm not gonna name it, but yeah, so I'm a bit tired, I'm a bit slow. If you feel that I'm a bit slow, I mean sorry, but it's the best I can do, huh? Okay. Beautiful. So at the moment, guys, let's see. I'm gonna make a quick briefing about where we expect to land there in approximately 2027. Okay, so 2027. At the moment, we've got 1925, so it's 1 hour from now. Okay, so we're gonna stay together 1 hour. Okay, and then we expect to land with the 3.5 tons of fuel. Okay, and our reserve fuel, guys, according to the flight plan, is we have got our reserve fuel 2.7. So we are gonna land there with 700 extra kilograms of fuel, okay? The flight plan expect us to land with 61.3, okay? Actually, let me take that and so I can actually have a look outside as well what's going on. Okay, so I'll give you a quick briefing about the weather in Palma de Mallorca. So the weather in Palma de Mallorca, guys, is this is the weather, 126002. We've got 10k or more, fuel 3000, a temperature of 9 degrees, 4 degrees the dew point, 1024 the QNH, okay? We're gonna land there at 20, so that's the weather that we're gonna find out. Variable for now, so it's actually a good weather. Later on tomorrow, we're gonna have some gusty winds in there, which is still pretty okay. All right. Very, very well. So now what we can do, guys, we can actually take the chart and do this. So let's have a look of our charts, okay? See what we have to do. I don't know why it doesn't go. There we go. So now it looks like it. Here we go. Okay, guys. So let's take the charts and have a look what we have to do. Okay, and with tab we've got airports. Beautiful. So the arrival that we should perform, guys. Dun, tararan, tararan. Arrival should be the we say the Lunic 3 Mike. That's our arrival. There we go, so that's the arrival. Okay, we arrive from Lunic, we descend like that, we've got over Charlie Delta Papa, we fly NACOD, we've got to Mike Juliet Victor, and then from Mike Juliet Victor we just join the VOR for runway 06. Should be 06 left. 06 left normally the runway used for landing, okay? So let me take the other procedure there. Not 06 right, 06 left. Approach, VOR 06 left, VOR 06 left, VOR. So we've got RMP approach, VOR, runway 06 left. That's the one that I'm looking for. Okay, yeah. Then we arrive at Mike Juliet Victor, basically, and then we fly the VOR for runway 06 left. Okay, we have two options in here, as I can see in here. We've got that one with the arc and the one that goes a little bit shallower. Okay, so max 220 knots, we can even do that. Mike Juliet Victor. Let's see what our flight plan wants us to do. Sorry, our flight plan, our FMC. So we can do VOR 06 left, Mike Juliet, or let's put it Charlie Delta Papa, even better. Then if I come in here, we should have Lunic, Mike Juliet Victor, and then the arrival. Okay, then we do a briefing later on. Okay. So everything looks fine. Okay, outside. Let me do a quick scan on the overheads. It's also good, guys, to do a quick scan from time to time on the overhead when you're flying. Okay, whenever you cross any 10,000 feet, for example. You will always spot some switch that you forgot for sure. Cool. Now let me take the airports as well. Charts, airport charts. No, not this one. Cool. So we're gonna land on 06 left in here. So we try to vacate November 3, and then let me take the stands, parking stands. Wow, that's a busy chart. Okay, we check later on. So 30,000 feet, guys. Let's reduce the bank angle to 10 degrees. So we land on November 3, and then what is gonna happen November 3, and then we're gonna see where we're gonna be parked. Okay, that's the airport chart. So we should have all the charts required to do the briefing. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna level off and do a quick briefing. Okay, we try to understand what we have to do during the descent and the approach, the VOR. Okay, and then later on we actually execute the VOR approach. Beautiful. In real life, guys, it's important that when you are approaching the cruise altitude, make sure you stay focused. Make sure that you level off. Okay, make sure that you're actually looking at your altitude. Okay, don't look around. If you are busy doing something which you should not really be, because during climb you should be focused on your climb, make sure that especially when you are actually approaching your target altitude, you watch close, okay, your altimeters and your aircraft performance on the PFD. Okay, so we've got one to go.
Thousand to go.
Check. You should keep 1000 feet per minute during the last part of the climb, okay? But 1500 is still okay, right? If you say it's going more than that, just press vertical speed and reduce the vertical speed to 1000 feet per minute. There we go, looks amazing, and we get to the cruise altitude or cruise level 330. Beautiful. So cruise altitude, we just make sure that all the switches are fine. That's all good. Fantastic, everything looks pretty good. Weather radar is always on, okay, during night. That's good, and everything is fine. Let's don't. Let me do a bit lights in here. Okay. So now, guys, let me see. Let's have a look at what's going on and what we are doing now. So we've got progress page, top of descent 350 nautical miles. We're gonna start the briefing actually 300 nautical miles. 350. Well, it doesn't really know how long, how far is the top of descent. Should be around 300 miles. Okay, he's trying to understand. That's good. That's beautiful. Anyway, here we go. So now I think is the right no. So around 300 miles top of descent. Even the destination there is very funny. Yeah? I don't know what's going on in here, guys. That's funny. Yeah? Let me see. Yeah, doing that, the top of descent should be in there. So that is approximately is 160, 320. So it's around 300 miles, and that's 300 miles should be the top of descent. Okay. So landing there with 2.8, so we don't have that much of reserve fuel now. Performance 2.7. So what you can do, like in this case, guys, we have 3 tons on. My God, because it's changing the distance, so it's changing as well the fuel. But let's say you want to increase your fuel at your destination, and you want to have some extra fuel. What you can do? Since we've got a lot of climb that we can take, because we have at maximum we can climb to flight level 400, but I don't suggest to climb to flight level 400, but up to flight level 370 you can actually climb, okay? So if you want to increase your fuel at destination and you still have a good track miles to go, you can actually change your cruise altitude for an higher cruise altitude. So as you can see now we are landing with 2.9, let's call it, okay? If I change that to 370, well, doesn't at the moment is not. I think is that it doesn't work at the moment. I don't think. I think it doesn't work now at the moment, guys, because it's constantly changing the information in here. 25. So I think this is the correct one. That's the wrong one. Okay. So 2.8. If I change to 370 in there, let me see if it updates the thing. No, it's still the same fuel. It's saying. Well, you should have a couple of 1 to 200 kilograms extra on fuel if you climb that, okay? If you actually climb to an higher cruise altitude. So if you have a longer track miles to go, you want to increase, and you have still some climbs left on the max between optimum and max, okay? Let's say in this case we have flight level 330 and the optimum is 387, so you want to climb to 370, for example, okay? Because you need to keep, in this case, odd flight level, so the first available is 370 from my point of view, okay? I know some people can say 390, but then you get too close to the maximum flight level, alright? Beautiful. You know what? Let's start a briefing then. So let me take these charts in here, the flight plan, because we need to set up some information regarding some winds. And actually the winds are at the back of the flight plan. That's the page I'm looking for. Okay, so let's start some briefing in here. I don't know, guys, why this is not working very well today. I'm not working very well either. So forecast, they... Let me put the same wind. So we've got 310, we've got 341.74. Then we've got flight level 200, 336 at 336 at 65. Flight level 100, 336 at 23. Beautiful. So the QNH. QNH in Palma, Mallorca, 1024. Cool, that's done, okay? So for the routes, what we were saying, the routes. So regarding the route, guys, we were saying we're flying this arrival, which is the Lunic 3 mic arrival, which is on the box, Lunic 3 mic, okay? So let's have a look at the Lunic 3 mic, guys. Let's do a quick briefing here. So Lunic 3 mic starts from Lunic, which is the point in here, guys, okay? So that's Lunic, okay? So Lunic, maximum flight level 100. So let's start first at the beginning, guys. Okay, so we got Palma, Mallorca, the charge is the 10-2 Golf, effective on 28th of March. We've got rational level by ATC, altimeter setting hectopascal, wait for radar vectoring before reaching initial approach fix or from initial approach fix to tailwind position active runway. Okay, airport elevation 27, 80s, 119.225. So let me see near. Good, so we've got, again, guys, let's start from the beginning. Lunic, we have to be flight level 100 or above, is on the box in there. We've got 117 for 25 nautical miles point to Charlie Delta Papa point in there. Okay, so we've got these points, guys, as speed restrictions, but are for runway 24. We are landing on runway 06. What I just did, I don't know. Anyway, so then we continue. Charlie Delta Papa, then is our right turn 243 to Nakop, where we have to be 250 or below. We've got distance 9 nautical miles. Then we have got another same track, 25 miles. What is going on, guys? Something is wrong in here. Nakot, Mike Juliet Victor, 25 nautical miles. That's the point there, 063. Then we've got Charlie Delta. Guys, something is wrong. Here we go. So Charlie Delta Papa. But we've got... Oh boy. I don't know what's going on in here, guys. 06 left. Let me try to change the... Maybe it makes more sense for the FMC. Okay, so we have got, guys, again. Let's try it again, from the beginning. Allora, Lunic, Charlie Delta Papa, no change, 250 at Nakov, then from Nakov to Mike Juliet Victor. So Nakov, Mike Juliet Victor is on the box in there. Okay, we have 3,000 feet or above. In here we've got 4,000, but if we check in here, because we are already flying the VOR approach. So we've got Charlie Delta Papa VOR, we need to be 243 for 35 nautical miles. All the way down to Mike Juliet Victor, okay? Then we have 3,000 feet or above, which is in the box. Then from there we turn right onto track 261 to the point, this one, 8 nautical miles, Mike Juliet Victor, where we need to be 1,100 feet or above. Then is a right turn, maximum 220 knots, which we're gonna be below that. At 11 miles, Juliet Oscar Alpha, which is the VOR. Okay, we turn right and then we get established basically. Then we've got, for the altitude, 11 miles, 1,100 feet. So 11 miles makes sense. That's the point. That Lima point. 1,100 feet. Then we go down to 1,400 feet, which is our FAF. and we can make this hard altitude. Okay, and then from there we do the final descent all the way down. In case of go around, I'm just gonna brief the normal go around. I'm not gonna brief the loss of com. Okay, climb direct to Juliet Oscar Alpha VOR. So we've got Taka Taka, the runway. Okay, so we've got vectors. That's strange. Okay, so here we go. Juliet Oscar Alpha VOR, turn left, maximum 185 knots. So we need to keep 5. To intercept and follow radial 026 Juliet Oscar Alpha. So we've got 026 Juliet Oscar Alpha, which is this VOR radial in there, all the way up to 7.5 nautical miles. Then turn right, maximum 210 knots, which is the box in there. To intercept and follow radial 268 inbound Charlie Delta Papa. So that's the radial Charlie Delta Papa. We've got 088, which is the reciprocal of 268, and we climb to initially 2000, so I don't know why, because here it says to intercept radial 268, intercept Charlie Delta Papa VR, maintain maximum 2000 until 20 nautical miles. So from my point of view, the initial missile approach there we go. So guys, the initial missile approach altitude is going to be 2000 feet initially, okay? And then once maintain maximum 2000 until 20 nautical miles Charlie Delta Papa, and then climb to 3000, then later 3000, and wait for ATC instructions, okay? So that's complete. So let me see, what's the, here we go. Now we've got 3.4 nautical miles, sorry, 3.4 tons of fuel at the destination, okay? So let's have a quick briefing about the VOR approach. Okay, so VOR approach, we've got Palma Mallorca, VOR 06 left, 13-1 effective 18th of June. We've got the 80s, 119.255. Let me put it in there. 119.255. See if it works. Okay, then we have Palma approach, tower and ground frequency. We check that later. VOR, Juliet Oscar Alpha, 117.7. I put that active already. 117.7. 177. Then we've got final approach course 057. 057. We've got FAF check 1400 feet, decision altitude, minimum descent altitude we check for our arrival. We're gonna set 550 feet, okay, because we add 50 feet on top. So 550 feet. So 550. There we go. Then what we've got, guys, we've got airport elevation 27. MSA is going to be 3000 to the south, 5000 to the west, 7000 to the north, 3500 to the northeast. Okay, let me match the heading there. Beautiful. Missed approach has been briefed. So for the missed approach, guys, we said that we need to proceed Juliet Oscar Alpha left to intercept the 026 and then right to intercept the 268 or 088 inbound Charlie Delta Papa. So the frequency that we need to for the missile approach is the 112.9, which is going to be on standby, 112.9. And we need actually this frequency for the arrival because we're gonna fly the arrival Charlie Delta Papa as well. 112.9. So in case of go around, we set that active on both after that we intercept the first radar. Okay. So that is discussed. Beautiful. We've got 3.4 descent gradient. Okay, so that means we're gonna descend with around 1000 feet per minute. Okay, puppy left and right, I descent approach system. That's the missed approach resume. Okay, minimum RVR required for this approach is 1500 meters. Okay, so very quickly, guys, what we need to do now. So we briefed, everything is fine. Okay, so what it is very important that we understand when flying. Let me put as well some runway, some fixes in there. 06 left. Just gonna put 10 and 4 nautical miles for my situational awareness. There we go. So if I go on plan, guys, again, I reduce the range in there, and then I go on the part of the arrival. That's our arrival. So most probably we're gonna arrive there, we're gonna fly that. What we're gonna do, we're gonna arrive in here, flap 1, flap 5 in this point on the downwind. Then we get established with flap 5, okay? Then 2 miles before the FAF, we actually set the minimum. Okay, so around here we're gonna set the minimum because we're gonna do a step down descent. We're gonna go 3,000, 1,900, and so on. Then 1,900 we set to 1,400 feet, and then around here 2 miles before the FAF we're gonna set 600 feet on the MCP. Okay, in here we're gonna set 600 feet in there, and then after the FAF, guys, we start the final descent. Okay, so then once we start the descent, we basically see the puppies, and then we're gonna land. Okay, it's gonna be gear down is at 3.4, so let's do it with flap 40. Okay, so for the performance calculations, guys, we could say we're gonna land with 3.4, and according to our flight plan, the reserve fuel to Barcelona is 2.7. So the difference between our landing fuel 3.4 and our reserve fuel 2.7 is exactly 700 kilograms. Okay, 700 kilograms is gonna give you around 20 minutes of holding available before needing to divert it to Barcelona. Now about the diversion, Palma and Mallorca is good weather. You got 2 runways. Okay, if unless the airport blown away, okay, you want to stay there because you got 2 runways, big runways. Okay, and the weather is great, so there must be a big reason to divert. Okay, anyway, 2.7, 3.4, 700. So now our weight is 62.5. Since we're gonna burn 700 kilograms of fuel. No, sorry. No, sorry. At the moment we've got 4.5, and we're gonna land in our 4.4. We're gonna land at our destination with 3.4. That means that we're gonna burn 1 kilograms because the fuel quantity that we've got now is 4.4. Fuel quantity we arrive at Palma, Mallorca with is 3.4. So 1 ton extra. So we're gonna burn 1 ton, so we're gonna land there with 61.5. Okay, 61.5 is going to be flap 40, auto brake 3, and I'm gonna use second intent reverse. Okay, so that's about it. The approach procedure briefing. I don't know why. There we go. So the computer is lower than me today. So we're gonna land on 06 left, okay, bucketing on November 3, and then we see we've got November 3, we may go on Echo or continue to Foxtrot. Okay, so November 3, we're gonna go right on Echo most probably, or left on to the north and then link Foxtrot, and then we've got the stand. We've got the 100s in here, then we've got the 20s in there, the 30s, the 40s are in there, the 50, the 70, the 80. Okay, so what's gonna happen here is the 100s. After landing, we just stop and we figure it out where we are, what we have to do. Okay, beautiful. So that is all done. So let me see if I'm missing something. Okay, if I've done something that is not correct. I hope, guys, you are enjoying the PILOTCLIMB. Okay, the PILOTCLIMB channel. For me, it's very important that I pass my knowledge, okay, my experience that I learned throughout my careers. Okay, it is very important for me. Again, guys, if you have any question, feel free to ask me questions in the live chat because I'm there. Okay, this is a recorded video, guys, and I'm at home now because I've been sick for a few days. But I just take the opportunity to to do this flight with you and share and know each other even better. Okay, so we still have a little bit of time before the top of descent. So if you want, guys, I can actually discuss something that maybe is you might find interesting. Let me see. So this is the fuel system, and let me see something. Yeah, well, for example, okay, let me see. Look at this. I don't know if you know what is this. So basically, this is the pressurization panel, okay, air conditioning pressurization panel, okay. But what I want you to pay attention is this little thing in here. Okay, so this is very important thing because especially if you have a pressurization system failure, you want to use this one to manage and pressurize the aircraft manually. And now what does it mean? So basically, as you can see, it says cabin altitude and flight altitude. Okay, depending on your flight altitude, it tells you which cabin altitude you should have. Okay, so let's say now we are at flight level 330. Okay, so our flight altitude, guys, is 330, is between 320 and 410. That means that in order to have our cabin pressurized in the right way, we should have a cabin altitude of 8,000 feet. Okay, so if you look in here, guys, we've got cabin altitude and is 5,000, 6,000 and a half. So that means that the aircraft is physically at level 330. However, our cabin altitudes, the people on board are experiencing 6,500 feet. And if you have a problem with the pressurization panel, you can use this table in here to make sure that you keep the pressurization within acceptable levels, even if the pressurization system doesn't work. And you know all the times what is the cabin altitude it should have depending on the level. Let's say you are flying at flight level 260, for example. That means that you should have a cabin altitude between 4,000 and 6,000 feet. So if you have an higher cabin altitude than the one indicated on this table, you simply close a little bit more the outflow valve and you increase the pressure inside the cabin. Okay, so this is a small detail on the aircraft. Okay, a detail. Well, it's a table that is important if you have a pressurization system failure. Okay. So then let me do another trick in here. So for example, the trim air switch, guys. So the trim air switch, what it is? The trim air switch basically is a switch that if you put it on, it basically helps the packs and to control the temperature in the cabin and in the flight deck. Okay, so basically the trim air is air that came from the engine, so get mixture with the air that goes from the packs before actually going into the cabin and the flight deck. Okay, so what will happen is that if the trim air switch is on, that means that the packs will actually produce the temperature, okay, produce the temperature of the air which satisfies the most cooling. Okay, and then with the trim air, with the warm air that arrives from the engine that goes through the trim air, okay, you switch on the trim air and then the cold air of the pack get mixed with the trim air and gets the temperature that you want in the different zones. Okay, so these are the three zones. Okay, you have the aft cabin, forward cabin and the flight deck. So if I want, let's say the aft cabin to be super warm, okay, what happen is that the right pack will produce a low temperature that satisfies the coolest. Okay, however, in order to get this sort of temperature, which is higher than the lowest, okay, is higher than the lowest temperature selected, let's say like this. Okay, now I have low selector, but then I've got this one that is an high. Okay, so the right pack will actually satisfy the most cooling, the coolest temperature that you selected, and with the trim air that has got the warm air from the engine will be mixed with the air from the pack that goes into the aft cabin. In that way, okay, what happens is that you're gonna have a mixed air between the trim air, between the bleed air and the air from the pack. Okay, so it's kind of, the packs will reduce the temperature of the air, the bleed air from the engines a lot in order to satisfy the most cooling, and the trim air will add some extra warm air to satisfy the various temperature zone selectors. Okay, if you switch off this one, if you leave it off, trim air, even because for the operator that I've flown, we didn't have the checklist trim air, and sometimes some people, and including myself once, I forgot to switch it on. Okay, what happened in here with this off? That means that the packs will try to satisfy the average temperature of the zone of the zone temperatures. Okay, I know hopefully it was clear because it's not very easy to explain without a table and a system schematic, but that's how it is. Okay. Beautiful. Let's see how we're doing now. So we still have around 100 nautical miles. Okay, 100 nautical miles in there, top of descent. Cool. So if I switch off the line, let me see. Is it any better like that? Yeah, well, it's better like that, I guess. Okay, okay. So guys, if you have any question, just leave in the chat, okay? And we can have a discussion, okay? So guys, if you don't know, this is the wind, okay? So this is the wind, 267.87. So the wind came from 267 degrees at 87 knots. So we've got quite strong headwind at the moment, okay? And we have got, that's the arrow that indicates where the wind came from. So it's something like that. In fact, you see the white line is the track, and this magenta, this white triangle is your heading. So as you can see, we are drifting. So in order to fly on the track 207, we actually have an heading of 217. So we are drifting, we have some wind correction angle to the right, okay? In fact, if you switch on the flight path vector, which is this switch in here, you will see that the flight path vector is actually there. You see? It's in there. Because it's showing that the nose of the aircraft is there and the track is there, it's to the left. It's another small thing that's actually not bad to know. So actually we can do the descent checklist. Let me see. So the descent checklist, pressurization, we've got land altitude of 50 feet set. Anti-ice off, approach briefing fuel, discuss ES and out bags. We've got flap 40, which is set there, 137, with VFLY is going to be 142. Complete. Okay guys, you know what, I'm gonna speed up a little bit, otherwise it's gonna take forever to get to the top of the descent, okay? The top of the descent is here, okay, it's coming. So guys, one thing that you can do in order to make sure that this top of the descent, because this is the top of the descent that the FMC calculates, and the top of the descent is actually, the FMC is telling you, listen, we've got, according to my calculation, according to the calculation of the computer, you should start the descent in there. But this is just a computer, guys. So if you make a mistake setting any data in there, it's gonna give you a wrong information here. So a good way to cross-check the top of the descent is correct. You take your flight level, you multiply the first two digits by 3, so the first two digits, 33 multiplied by 3 is 99, and you put that in the fixed page, okay? Of the runway, so /99. So what is this? Is a rough cross check when you should start the descent, because if you multiply your altitude by 3, it gives you the track miles that you need for your descent, okay? In this case, as you can see, it's quite okay, it's quite close, okay? It's not exactly there because we're gonna do some extra track miles because we're gonna land on the other runway, on the opposite runway, so as we saw earlier, okay? So we're gonna arrive like that, but then we're gonna land in this runway, so we're gonna do extra track miles, and that, you see, we're not gonna land on a straight in approach. We're gonna just go around the airport. That's an extra track miles. That is actually the indication, the difference that there is between this green ring and the top of the descent point, okay? But in this case it should be okay. I'm quite happy with that, okay? If you see that you put the ring in there and the top of the descent point is somewhere near, something is wrong, okay? So you really need to investigate and see what's going on in there. For your information, guys, now I'm working, I told you already, I'm working at the projects. I'm doing a course, not myself, I'm preparing a course for you guys that will help you to pass your pilot job interview. I'm preparing a course, quite good course, where I actually share with you what I know and what I learned throughout my 15 plus years of doing interview. And the course will be structured in a way that from the beginning we're gonna talk about how can you prepare your CV, how can you prepare your cover letter, what's the documentation that you need, how can you actually prepare all the documentation, how can you scan the documentation for the really basic things, okay, to make sure that you get it right from the beginning. Then we're gonna talk about how do I search for jobs, which website I use, you know, where I get informations. And the course we're gonna talk about all of these things: the preparation of the interview, okay, the application, the preparation of the documentation, and then the actual interview. We're gonna talk about what the companies are looking for on a pilot. We're gonna talk about how you need to be dressed for an interview. We're gonna talk about what to expect, the online interview, the group exercise, the simulator. I'm doing a very extensive course that hopefully will be available soon. Okay, I plan to make it available already, but then, as I told you, I was a bit unlucky with this sickness. So as soon as I have some spare air to breathe, because today I feel good, I feel good today, but I'm still tired. So maybe I'll start to record and finish the course from tomorrow. Okay. So hopefully this course will help you to find your dream job. Okay. And we are approaching 40 miles the top of the sand, guys. So soon we should have the 80s frequency. Yeah. Let me see if we've got the 80s frequency there at 119.225. Yeah, that's the one. One one nine two 225, not 255. That's the mistake. Is it 225? Or am I completely wrong? 255. Oh my gosh. 119.255. Zero. Doesn't work. No problem. The weather was great anyway, so. What was the QNH again in there? Let me see. 1024. I'll press select the QNH. Alright, we are starting, okay? Approaching the top of the descent, we're gonna start the descent, okay? I'm gonna manage the descent, the energy of the aircraft, guys. It's very important that you think about the energy of the aircraft, not the altitude and the speed, okay? Some people only think about speed and altitude, but you should think about overall the energy of the aircraft, which is speed plus or plus the altitude, both of them, because you can be high on profile, but be very slow, and you'll still be fine. Or you can be super low, but being super fast, and you're not gonna be fine. Okay, so only the altitude or the speed doesn't really matter. You should take into consideration the whole energy of the aircraft. That means that you should be on the path or the right speed, and you're fine. Because if you are too high and too fast, you are not fine. If you are too high and very slow, you might be fine because you have some extra energy. Because you actually cut some extra energy with the speed. Or if you are low, you should make sure that if you are low, you are actually you are not extra fast, because being low and super fast or be high and super slow, okay, is pretty much the same thing. Okay, doesn't really matter. It really, what it matters is the whole energy of the aircraft. Well, guys, I started descent to flight level 100, and then we'll see if they tell us to contact anybody. Flight level 100, and then we wait until the top of descent. There we go. Since I set the flight level 100 in there, guys, what happens if you have enough path, which we have in the FMA, the aircraft will start the descent at the top of the descent point, without any pilot's input. Look, now we've got 5 miles to go to the top of the descent. It is strange that nobody is asking us to contact anybody, but whatever. Who's online in here? Nobody. We'll see. We continue. Hopefully somebody will tell us anything. We'll see. So as you can see, guys, the VNAV path start the descent, okay? Because we set 100 on MCP altitudes. So guys, make sure you always know where your star starts. Lunik, alright? Do you remember? Is our first point, Lunik. Flight level 100 above. Then we're gonna turn left 117, 177 inbound all the way down to the Charlie Delta Papa. Charlie Delta Papa is already active. Juliet Oscar Alpha is already active as well. Lunik, that's the point. Okay. We've got an aircraft there. So if I switch on like this. There we go. Look at that. Great. Pilot climb. Beautiful. At high altitude, guys, especially if you have the old light system on the aircraft, you should not switch on any light, okay? Because what happens at high altitude, since you've got very low temperature, you might give a thermic shock to the lights, to the bulb, okay? That's why we normally we switch off the lights at flight level 100. So nobody's calling us. Nope. Looks like there is nobody in Palma today. No problem. Okay guys, when you start the descent with the Boeing 737, okay, it's good to trust the VNAV, okay, especially if you set all the winds, all the QNH as we did, okay. We set up the winds from the forecast page, okay. If you go on the descent, you press forecast. In here you can set the winds from the flight plan, and that's what we did, and that's the QNH as well. So if you put these information in there, the VNAV should give you a quite accurate descent profile, okay. However, you always want to make sure that you know that you are in the right position, you are on path, okay. there's a cross check, a very rough, a very gross cross check that you can do, but it's actually quite accurate, and that will make sure that you will be pretty much on profile at all the times. Okay, this cross check is quite simple, and the closer you get to the runway, the more precise is this cross check that you can do. Okay, so either you trust the VNAV, which is good, you can do, but I don't recommend to trust VNAV 100% of the time. In my career, I had some very fun experience with the VNAV sometimes. Okay, so you can trust VNAV. Okay, you should actually, but always make sure that time to time you do a cross check and make sure that you've got the right altitude, the right energy. Okay, so how do you do this check? You simply take the first 2 digits of your altitude, in this case 24, you multiply it by 3 again. So 24 multiplied by 3 is 72. Okay, 72, and then you add one. Now, so let me explain. 72 nautical miles are the miles that you need to kill your altitude from here to the landing. So you need at least 72 miles to kill this altitude and land. But you need, on top of the extra miles for the speed, how many miles? You should add 1 mile per each 10 knots above 200 knots. So that means that we are 260 knots. That means that we've got 60 knots above 200. That means 6 extra nautical miles for the speed. So that means that we need, now that we are doing the calculations again, 22 multiplied by 3 is 66, alright? 66 plus 7 is 74. So we need at least 74 nautical miles for the descent, for the landing. So if you look and here, look how many track miles we've got, 74 exactly. So we know that the VNAV is doing its job correctly. Okay, and time to time you want to do this check to make sure that the VNAV is doing a good job. Okay, looks like there is nobody around, so what I'm gonna do, the next altitude is 3000. Okay, set already 3000 in there, that's it. We are in this point in here. Actually, we should leave 5000 above in here according to the star. Okay, I'm gonna set 5000 in there, and then after Charlie Delta Papa we can actually go down to 3000, because after Charlie Delta Papa we start our Vor approach. LEP approach, yeah, we go somebody 119.4. Let me try to give them a call. Palma approach, buenas tardes, Papa Lima Charlie 001.
Sorry, say again, call sign, calling Palma approach, good evening.
Good evening, Papa Lima Charlie 001. We are leaving flight level 200 down to 5000 feet inbound Charlie Delta Papa.
Papa Lima Charlie 001, continue to Charlie Delta Papa, cleared ILS, runway 24 left, QNH 1024.
Can you confirm the runway 24 left, Papa Lima Charlie 001?
Runway 24 left for landing.
Alright, that's copy. Is there any chance to perform a Vor approach on runway 06 left, Papa Lima Charlie 001?
Sorry, no, runway 24 left at the moment.
Alright, 24 left, Papa Lima Charlie 001. Okay, so they just changed the runway use. Beautiful. Arrival. ILS, runway 24 left. So
122, Palma approach.
So let me press level change, because we need to go down, because we're gonna be high on profile now. Okay, so now let me continue. And Papa Lima Charlie 001, can you confirm the route after Charlie Delta Papa?
LS Zulu runway 24 left from Charlie Delta Papa.
Okay, let's do 24 left from Charlie Delta Papa, Papa Lima Charlie 001.
Papa Lima Charlie 001, descend on the procedure, QNH 1024, 1024.
1024 descending on the procedure, Papa Lima Charlie 001. Yeah, we are super high now. Okay, so as you can see, the runway has been changed. Okay, continue descend according to the procedure from there to 4500. We're gonna try to make it, okay. 1024. Now I need to take the charts in here, guys. Oh, this is gonna be big fun, eh? Approach. ILS 24 left. There we go. That's the one that we need. There we go. So yeah, we are now descending 1024. I can set that in there 1024. So suddenly we are very busy. Eh? So we've got 10.3 in there. Let's try to do it. Okay. If we see that we are too busy at the end, we simply just
Hello approach, lot 122, miss approach.
09.3.
Calling. Lot 122, Palma.
238.
Miss approach, lot 122.
There we go. So 238 in
Is,
there. The final approach track. Okay.
Next steps.
Just say call sign, please.
Lot 122.
Lot 122.
238, 238. We've got 2,500 feet up altitude checks in there. We've got minima 239er for cat 3 Charlie. Okay. 239er.
I need to one orbit because I have a lot of speed.
239er. Okay. I start to reduce the speed in there, guys. 220 knots, and then we set flap 1 as well. Okay.
36 left.
Okay, so then what we've got, guys, very quickly, we've got airport aviation stay. MSA is the same in case of ground climb on runway heading to 420 ton left. Okay, not before radar 103 Juliet Oscar Alpha, maximum 185. To follow radar 193 Juliet Oscar Alpha, climb 3000. Okay, so basically straight ahead left to 193 to join the radar 193. Okay, Juliet Oscar Alpha. We are reducing the speed. We are still quite high and we are getting very busy, guys. I didn't expect that. Okay, so we're going 227, then left on Bavum. Bavum is already on the box, 4,500 feet or above. Then, as you can see here, 2,500 feet afterwards, and we can actually put 2,500 feet or above in there. Oh boy, I didn't expect that. 2,500 feet is in the box in there. So we've got the speed is good, so we can actually start with flap 1 in there. So then 2,500 feet after the point Bavum, and then with the is our platform altitude 2,500 feet all the way down to 7.5 miles. Get established on ILS and then land 3 degrees. We've got 700 feet, puppy left and right. Okay, so what's gonna happen now? We are coming back on profile. We've got the flap 1. We can actually set flap 5 now, guys, and we are getting very busy. Here we go. So now we're gonna land on the other runway. That's funny, guys. 2 for left. Okay, we're gonna land. We're gonna vacate onto the Sierra 1. Okay, Sierra 1 is the first to the right. Then once we land, we stop and we see where we are. Okay, let me see. We are doing everything is good now. Okay, so we've got India Papa Alpha Lima 238. 238. The final approach track has been set twice, and everything seems okay. We are going back on profile, which is great. 4,500. Next altitude 2,500, guys. Okay, the LSO frequencies are set. We need to change the rings for runway 24 left. Oh, guys, that's how you get busy in a second. 10 and 4. There we go. So we are back on profile pretty much. Okay, so I can start to retract the speed brake. No, we don't need any thrust. Okay, beautiful. So we are coming back on profile, nice and easy. Okay. Beautiful. Now, next altitude is 2,500 feet. Okay, according to the arrival, 2,500 feet. So I set 2,500 feet in there, and we are here for ELS. So 2,500 feet is set in the box in there. Okay, beautiful. So now we are back on profile. The VNAV is coming. So what I can do, VNAV. Run inside. Okay, guys, everything is done. In case of ground, we need Juliet Oscar Alpha 117.7 on the box. 117.
Buenas noches, Palma, aproximación Europa 5126. Estamos listos para puesta en marcha y retroceso.
In there. So India Papa Alpha Lima has been already identified. We've got 1024 the QNH. Standby instrumental set. 238 is set in there as well. Okay, so I can arm Vorlock. Lock is captured. Runway heading 238 has been set.
Europa 516, responde.
Oh boys, that's how you get very busy, eh? Okay, so that's done.
3230 para Europa 5126.
So we only need this. I can actually cancel this one.
12 turn right immediately, heading 060.
Done.
060, Hot 122.
There we go. So we are back on profile. We are full established inbound. I can arm approach. Class drop captured. Missile approach altitude. Let me check that again. 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet is set. Full established inbound. Papa Lima Charlie 001.
Berlin Charlie 001, Palma, continue approach. 321 Palma.
Okay, guys. So we are full established. Everything is fine. 24 left. Good.
This is Sierra Echo Papa Lima 27. Clearance for takeoff, runway.
We leave. Actually, you know what, guys? We can even. No, let's leave it flat 40, okay, for landing. Flat 40 in there. Everything is set.
Papa Lima 27, runway for takeoff is 24 right, 24 right.
Thank you. 24 right.
So, guys,
Ready to taxi?
this actually happens in real life. Eh? In real life, guys, suddenly you became very busy
122, turn
because
right,
they
heading
change
080,
your they change the runway news.
80,
Okay,
Hot 122.
and that's how you should manage these things. Okay, you should really try to make sure that you do everything before actually asking any orbits. But if you see that you are getting too busy at the end, just ask for an orbit, brief,
42, radio
and then
contact,
you
climb
continue.
final
Okay,
120.
but we manage the descent, we manage the energy of the aircraft, we manage the briefing and everything. Just want to make quick check in here after landing. So it's going to be Sierra 1.
Charlie 001, the wind 1703 knots, runway 24 left, clear to land.
Clear to land to 4 left, Papa Lima Charlie 001. Okay, so we can actually switch on some lights in here.
Sierra Echo
There we
Papa
go.
Lima 27 Palma.
So the seatbelts should be on, recall is checked,
2500.
everything is done. Terrain is noted.
Sierra Echo Papa Lima 27, go ahead.
Papa Lima taxi, holding point runway 24 right via taxiway north.
Taxiway north. Runway.
Okay, I'm gonna lower the gear now, guys. It'll take some time, okay? To do the landing checklist.
Runway 24 right, 24 right.
Gear down, flap 15, landing checklist. Okay, let me see.
Listo a rodar, Europa
Landing
5126.
check, star switches continuous. Recall is checked. Speed brake, arm green lights, landing gear, down to green. Auto brake, 3 set, holding up flaps. Flaps 25.
Link north.
Al punto de espera de la 24 derecha, vía Foxtrot, Linky North.
And flap 40.
Europa 5126.
There we go, we got flaps 40. 40 green lights, landing lights on. Everything's been complete. So now disconnect the autopilot. Autopilot and auto throttle. And we land. Check. It's gonna lower the. There we go.
Left heading 330, Hot 122.
Papa Lima 27, hold short of Lincoln taxiway.
Sierra Echo Papa Lima 27, hold short and link taxiway.
500.
Check.
$400.
Check.
Approaching 800.
Continuous.
Minimums
Conti-
200.
Check, check.
$100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 20.
Speed breakup. Reverse as normal. 100 knots.
80 knots.
80 knots. Check. We can set to 70, please.